Welcome to a podcast celebrating Scottish culture and entertainment, which is here to sing the praises of books, films, comedy, music, theatre, exhibitions, telly, poetry, and all that jazz. I'm Nicola Meehan. I'm an arts writer and broadcaster, and I'll give you the lowdown on what's coming up, what's happening now, what came before, and what we love, which is to say that every week I'm here to give you a kick up the arts. Now, thanks so much if you joined us at Granite Noir in Aberdeen on Sunday for a lovely live recording with the actor Dawn Steele. That podcast is coming soon. And don't forget, if you're in Glasgow, I'm joined by writer Michael Peterson and musicians Siobhan Wilson and Ravelo for a Kick Up the Arts live from the Glad Cafe. That's on Saturday afternoon, March the 1st. And then the mighty David Keenan is going to be in conversation about his new collection of music writing, Volcanic Tongue. That's at Edinburgh's Portobello Bookshop on March the 27th. Right now, though, in this episode, we are celebrating the 21st Glasgow Film Festival. They grow up so fast, and it runs from the 26th of February to the 9th of March. It opens with the world premiere of Tornado, which is the latest epic from Fife's John Maclean, who made huge waves with Slow West following his time in pop Voyagers, The Aliens, and the Beta Band. Tornado stars Tim Roth and Jack Lowden and features gold heists, criminal gangs and travelling puppet shows played out in 1790s Britain. The festival closes with another world premiere with distinct Scottish roots thanks to Martyn Robertson's Make It To Munich. This follows teenager Ethan Walker's charity cycle from Scotland to Germany just months after almost losing his life in an accident. And in the countless screenings between those movies bookending the festival, there are worlds of possibilities. There's a free coming-of-age strand with classics like Gregory's Girl, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Lady Bird and Boys in the Hood. There's a retrospective of Swedish actor, director and pioneer Mai Zetterling, including her 80s Borstal drama Scrubbers, which stars Kathy Burke and Pam St Clement. There'll be in-conversation events with icons Jessica Lange and James McAvoy. And out with the Glasgow Film Theatre, you can lose yourself in The Craft and Muriel's Wedding at Cottier's and Coyote Ugly at the Grand Ole Opry. How incredible is that going to be? And this coming Saturday evening, that's March the 1st, I'm going to be chatting with directors Ian Forsyth and Jane Pollard about their stunning new performance film, The Extraordinary Miss Flower. It digs deep on a hoard of lost letters and the music of Emiliana Torrini, and it stars Richard Ayoade, Sophie Ellis Bextor, Caroline Katz and Nick Cave, who Ian and Jane previously explored in their film about him, 20,000 Days on Earth. When the festival bill was revealed last month, I caught up with programme coordinator Chris Kumar and festival director Allison Gardner in what is her final fling in the role after 30 years at GFT. I'd hosted the launch that morning, so I was really excited to hear more from them about this year's films, and we got a bit nostalgic too. This has been a lovely day, hasn't it? It was nice to see you first thing this morning for the launch. It was great. People seemed pretty excited for first thing on a Monday morning in a rainy day in January.
I think you helped create that. You were like the great cheerleader of getting everybody, world premieres, woohoo! So no, that was great. It was good. People are excited, and it's nice because we've been talking about it so long internally. Just to get it out there is just fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's that thing as well, isn't it? It'll be the same for you, Chris. It exists so long within the minds of a group or within your own head. But it is that thing of actually going, okay, at some point we've got to let this go. And there's always an excitement there, but also it's interesting because every single person, you've been doing quite a few interviews today, I'm sure has honed in on a different star or a different director or a different country. There's so much that's within this programme, Alison.
I think that we try and give something for everyone. I mean, that's every year we try that. And I think some film festivals we're quite a broad church film festival. We like to make sure that there is something. We're not, Alan Hunter used to always use a phrase that we still stick by, was programme without prejudice.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
so try and look for something, there'll be an audience for this. You know, it's not to everybody's taste all the time, but I think what is important is that we give people the options and then we treat people like grown-ups. It's up to them to then make those decisions and coming along and enjoy the festival.
Yeah, the trust works both ways, doesn't it?
It does.
That's a really interesting way of thinking about it. So we're going to look forward to the programme and touch on as much as we can within the next little while. Then you'll get some lunch, Alison, because my goodness me, you've had a busy morning. But it is 21st Glasgow Film Festival. You've been clocking in this very building in the GFT, Glasgow Film Theatre, for over 30 of them. So let's briefly just get a little bit nostalgic. I mean, What are your early memories of even coming to this building?
I used to pop over because I knew the team here because I worked at Film House in Edinburgh, and I used to pop over. And actually, how I got the job here is I went for another job in Glasgow, and I thought, I'll stop and have a cup of tea.
Really?
At GFT, and they said, oh, well, we're looking for a duty manager. And I said, oh, I've just been for a job interview, so that was nice. And then I got the job as duty manager in 1993.
Isn't that incredible? Do you know, I absolutely love the fact that it's all about actually stepping into a building, whether that's as a punter coming to see a film or for you. Isn't that wonderful to think that just that moment and you came in and the stars aligned?
Sliding doors.
It's true, isn't it? What about you? Do you remember when you first came in here? Because you were a punter for a long time before you were behind the scenes, Chris.
Punter for a long time. I think my first Glasgow Film Festival was 2011 maybe. I think so. That's probably when I first started. Coming to the festival. I can't remember what the first thing I saw was though. Might be the Fright Fest film, you know. Might have been something there. But then after that, I kind of got the bug, and would just do that thing where I would like sit and go through all the listings and plan my day out, take a holiday off from work and stuff. And then end of 2017, I just applied for a sort of internship sort of thing, and then I actually started just as the 2018 programme was launching. I think it was launching like the week later, so I started in January. So I came in like wide-eyed, like, oh great, this is going to be amazing programme, and it was crazy, it was great. And then Beast from the East was that year.
There's always something, right?
So it was quite the baptism of fire, but then from there on it's just been, I guess, I mean, part of it is that I've put in the work and worked hard to like become good at doing this, I guess, and obviously Allison's helped a lot with that, and so, but yeah, since then not looked back. And then 2019 was my first full one, proper one, and from there on now we're at the stage where 8 years down the line we're arguing with each other, and I'm like, no, the film is good, we're gonna put it on,
and I say, sell it to me.
I love that. You got to do a pitch.
Yeah, of course.
Quite right. Okay, but you listen. That's the other thing, and
I do.
And people are given chances. So you applied for the internship, and here we are. Likewise,
it was a paid internship, by the way. I have to be very clear.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's really important in our industry. That Glasgow Film as a whole is really against any unpaid internships. This was a particular scheme that Chris joined us from that was fully paid. So I think it is great to give people the opportunities, because only people perhaps who have a privileged upbringing can do unpaid internships.
Yeah. Do you know, I think that's utterly vital to underscore that point, and also to say that within the film festival programme, you know, if you can't afford tickets, there are things you can still come to. All right, it really is for everybody on that count, Allison.
We try to live by our values that are authenticity, transparency and sustainability, and making sure that people can have the opportunity, and some of the barriers are costs. We'll have to be honest about that. You know, it's nobody is awash with cash, but there are ways into the festival, and that's something that we genuinely try to make sure that people can take the opportunity, enjoy it, and be part of the festival, because it is a family. You know, I say to filmmakers, you know, you're part of the Glasgow Film Festival family now. Viggo Mortensen from last year. You can never escape.
And he's still here in a cupboard.
I don't want to say what cupboard, but yes, possibly.
That's it, you're embroiled. So that was the first instance you popped in for this cup of tea, having gone to a different job interview. There's a strand this year which is celebrating coming of age films, and the film festival is indeed 21 years. When you look back and reflect on the sort of nascent conversations about this film festival, I mean, what do you remember of even expectations of it? Because what I don't imagine is that you were going, imagine when we get to 21 and I get like a little special key on my card. Or, you know, I don't know what the 21-year-old gifts are, but it's an adult now, right? Officially.
Yeah,
legally.
I mean, it started as a line, essentially, that Jackie McDougall, who was the previous CEO, read, and I read in a European journal that said cities that had film festivals had a population that went to see a broader range of films all year round. We were like, oh, we need that for GFT.
Yeah.
So we started it as an audience development initiative, essentially, and it grew from there. And we were like, how difficult can it be to run a film festival?
Famous last words.
Exactly. And it was literally back of a fag packet type of planning.
It's the only way.
I think, and also we got European money, I think, to start us off there. And that worked really well. And then the city obviously support it really well, and as do Screen Scotland, the BFI and Event Scotland, who are also really great. But I think that initially we didn't see it as what the behemoth that is now become, largest film festival in Scotland and one of the top UK film festivals. So we didn't envisage that. We really just saw it as quite a small audience development initiative. But that just shows you the hunger that there is, not just in the city, but in Scotland, the rest of the UK, to come to something that speaks to you.
Quite. And from the film industry as well, for audiences, but also for filmmakers and everyone behind the scenes. It's vital.
It is. And we're that meeting point with our industry focus now, which is where I think the growth will come for the film festival. I'm very keen to have the film festival grow, but in a very, very particular way. It can't just grow big and lose its character.
Yeah.
It has to remain ethos, cinema for all. We have to keep it through those transparency, authenticity, sustainability. We have to keep making our decisions through those values. I think we have to make sure that we're getting those audiences who are perhaps marginalised and don't come to the festival. Make sure that those people are welcome. It is, everyone is welcome. We can't lose sight of that, because if you do, then you risk ruining the thing that makes it unique.
Completely. Yeah, and also the Glasgow identity feels key as well. The friendliness of it is very much in line with what people see about Glasgow and what people say about Glasgow. So it's international, but there's something very particular to it being in this particular city as well. All right, let us talk about some of the films, and let's kick off with a world premiere. Yeah, I was getting everyone to cheer about that, and rightly so, by the way, of this year's opening film, Tornado. So director John Maclean, he is back. I love the fact that he's finally, and I mean, it was well named, wasn't it? Slow West in all sorts of ways. And now he is back with Tornado. That is sounding like a very different film, Allison.
It is, but it's got a lot of great hallmarks, I think. So I think he's quite a distinctive filmmaker. I think it's a great vision. I loved it. I really loved it. I think it's quite visceral.
Yeah. What's it being described as? Because it's not a revenge. It
has elements of revenge. A survivalist thriller.
That's it, survivalist,
But it's set in 1790, shot in Scotland. It doesn't say it's Scotland where it's set, but, we've got Jack Lowden, who plays Little Sugar. You've got Tim Roth, who plays Sugar. You've got Rory McCann, I think his character's name is Kitten.
Because I'm loving even Sugar and Little Sugar, by the way. And the thought of Jack Lowden and Tim Roth, I can't wait to see how that works on screen.
Really great performances. Both really great performances. Tim Roth, really good. Not a particularly likeable person in this film, but
I could tell by
I
your
urge you to come and watch it and see yourself. But I think it's a testament to our friends at Lionsgate who are releasing the film on the 23rd of May. I think it's a testament to us at the festival that they've trusted us with the world premiere. We had the Love Lies Bleeding, was their film last year, and they really enjoyed the festival. And they're a really great team at Lionsgate to work with. They're fantastic, very supportive. So I think that they realise that it's a great place to launch their world premiere.
Yeah, well, that's it. It works both ways, right? That's testament to that. What did you're nodding, Chris.
Yeah.
Did you love the feel of it? It's obviously sounding like, the visceral element. I'm hearing you, Alison.
It's my sort of thing. I love showing the films. But also, I think we're not adverse to showing films like that, and especially putting them in a position of, opening a film. Like Love Lies Bleeding last year, if anyone saw it, it's quite out there. Those glasses amazing, and like Alison says, it was really good. Opener last year, and this one I think will go in the same sort of vein, different audience in a slight sense, because obviously last year had that Kristen Stewart sort of people love for her fans were queuing outside early to get tickets for that. Jack Lowden has his own fans admittedly though, so
works both ways.
Absolutely, but I think it's just we just look at what's going to be exciting and what's going to be cool, a cool opening. Tornadoes, just that's how I describe it. It's a really cool opening film.
Completely. And I think the thing with John Maclean, I've known John Maclean since I was a kid, because my dad lived up in Tayport, so I'd go up and see him every 2 weeks. And my big brother, and don't laugh at this, my big brother, Big Chris, was very good friends with John Maclean. And then my wee brother, Wee Chris, was very good friends with David Maclean. So they were always round at our house, or we were always there. And even when they were much, much younger, because of course David Maclean, Django Django, John Maclean with the Beta Band and the Aliens before the short films, and then Slow West. It was such a creative, and their parents are artists. They were always so creative, and they were always very cool. Exactly that word you used. Very, very friendly, really warm people. And I think that rings out in these films as well.
It does. And he's really nice.
Yeah.
He's lovely, a lovely
him.
person,
yeah.
you know, good to work with.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're delighted. I mean, we're so lucky with guests. You know, people really, I think they buy into the Glasgow Film Festival ethos. They know that we're a place that's friendly. They know that our audience are smart, cinephilic, that they ask great questions. And so they really warm to it and enjoy coming here. And that you can't say that of all festivals.
Yeah, quite.
You know, but I think here there's a warmth and a humanity and an understanding of what we're about that they seem to get.
Yeah, quite. So we're touching on Tim Roth there, and we're touching on John Maclean, one of his short films, of course, Pitch Black Heist. This is putting me in mind of something that rings a little bit out with that on the programme, Stealing Pulp Fiction. You're smiling at that, Chris.
Yeah,
Tell me more about this.
So
I mean, the title says it all, right?
So that film kind of just came to us. They contacted us. I can't remember how they got in touch. It was just out of the blue. It was sent over to us, and we were like, "All right, sounds quite fun." And you know, and getting comedies is hard sometimes. Like, you know, a lot of people want to make, you know, depressing movies, it would seem these days. And I guess it's a reflection.
Just what we need, eh?
The reflection of the world, I guess. Yeah. Like, you know, it is what it is. But you know, so when a comedy comes through, we like hit a big buzzer in the office. You know, it's like comedy movies. Click. But still
down the fireman's pole to the desk to approve it.
Absolutely, the bat signal. So it came in, so I was like, I'll give this a watch. And it's like quite short, it's like 75 minutes, and it's just like, just gets to the point about two pals who who love Pulp Fiction, the movie. So they think, let's steal the 35mm print. They want to steal Quentin Tarantino's own personal print of it from the local cinema. And they hatch this plan, and it's got Jason Alexander, George Costanza from Seinfeld's in it. And it's just like punchline. It just does the job properly. The performances are good, very funny. And yeah, there's a bit in it that, no spoilers, but there's a kind of cameo that shows up that made me laugh so hard. It's well worth a watch. Like, it'll have people rolling about in the aisles, I think.
Even the way you're describing it's making me think that I'm going to love that, whatever that mad adventure and plot is, but also the dynamic between the friends and among the friends is something, perhaps in the coming of age strand in particular, Allison, that really rings out, and through the decades. But that's something we're going to see quite a lot in that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and the coming of age thing, I think, is really important, because there's always been coming of age films since the movie started, because, you know, even though the teenager wasn't a term that was invented until, say, I think the 50s maybe, and it was a sort of an American thing to sell.
Yeah, marketing.
Yes, when teenagers had more money after the Second World War.
And that was the last time that happened.
Yes, exactly. And so I think there's always been those stories, and, you know, we all came of age. We've all got our stories, you know. It's funny because when I talk in the office, because I grew up in the 70s, you know, and like sometimes in the office people are thinking, yeah, that's just like Studio 54. And I was like, yeah, not in Glenrothes. It was a little bit more like a lot of scratchy brown wool maybe than you think.
No one was arriving at the nightclub on a pony.
No, definitely not, you know. Maybe a skateboard if you were lucky.
Yeah, quite cool as well. Oh, John Maclean and David Maclean had skateboards, of course they did. Right, okay, so that's always been the height of cool. But yeah, so as you say, there are films kind of from the 40s really through within that strand, aren't there? Right up to, of course, the 80s, which for me is the high heyday of the pal movies, whether that's something like Gregory's Girl or whatever, where you're seeing friendships and romances and all sorts, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And it's lovely to just sort of reflect on that within the 21 years of the festival as well and say. But I'm very excited about, and I promise this is my only other personal connection I'm going to tell you about, I'm particularly excited about The Extraordinary Miss Flower. Because Ian Forsyth and Jane Pollard, of course, incredible 20,000 Days with Nick Cave, but about 20 odd years ago I used to work with them both. So I worked with Ian at Mute Records, and they were always like artists as well, but they had day jobs that if you like. So Ian used to sit next to me at Mute. He did the more kind of technical side of things, and of course Nick Cave was signed to that, so this was where this early relationship. And Jane, we used to put on these gigs and sort of launch events in Borders on Oxford Street, and Jane worked there. So we had this lovely little kind of like pal group that we'd go about, and obviously I moved back up here and I could see they were making this incredible art and moving art and visual art and whatever. And then these films just come out, and they again have got such a unique aesthetic, I think, and viewpoint. And there's always a musical connection in some way, isn't there, as well?
It's an extraordinary film as well. And also Zoe Flower is our publicist.
This is even better.
I know.
Right.
And,
how
you know,
lovely.
and she and I remember, you know, after her mother died, and it was very sad, but when she discovered this, and it was like a whole other secret life, and it really comes out in the film, and the doing it through music, the Icelandic singer who interprets the letters
Emiliana
and sings,
Torini,
it's so beautiful, and it's so wonderful. And then there's lots of people in, you know, Richard Ayoade's in there, Nick Cave's in there talking and reading the letters, and it's just a beautiful piece of work from a time that's hard to imagine for young people, in the sense that people sent letters, and you have this physical record in your hand of your parents' loves, disasters, things that went wrong. They're living their life through this, and it was an extraordinary life, and it's a beautiful film to watch, and we feel we've got a personal connection, and we love Zoe. She's so lovely. That's
so wonderful as well, that she's so inherently a part of it, that personal connection as well. I think there's something about letters, like you're physically connected to them in such a way, because, you know, their hand was literally there, and that is their writing, and they have engaged with this same piece of paper. It does bring you very close, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that on the screen as well.
You watch the film and you want more of the letters, and you want more. Like you like, just even the music aside, even just the actual story, like, is all these letters that are getting read and incredible, and you're just so like captivated by what that sort of side of it. And then obviously you've got the music on top as well. That like you say, they have a very particular way, like a very unique way that they do their films, and like present it in a way that's interesting visually and sonically. And I think it's one of those, I think maybe Zoe was a bit nervous to send it to us, because maybe she'd be like, what if they don't like it and they don't want it? And
we loved it.
It was just one that was lucky that we were like, yeah, of course we'll give it a look, and it lined up that we were like, yeah, this is good, let's do it. Like, so
magical properties. And there are other music, of course, films on the Strand. Peaches always should be on our screen every single time. Queer, feminist, punk, complete and utter icon. Peaches goes bananas. Also, what a title. I mean,
it's brilliant. And also as well, the director, Marie Lozier, I think that's how you pronounce her name, you know, she's worked a lot with Peaches. You know, it's a labour of love, but also of compassion, and looking at it from her perspective. You know, sometimes documentaries are just, you know, banged out in that way. Let's do something.
Totally. Talking heads and a bit of old footage.
And perhaps use old footage. But this has got a real intimate feel about it, that really understands Peaches, I think, ethos and her particular, I would say, unique style.
Completely and utterly across, again, kind of audio-visually, in her lyrics, very much in her music as well. And of course, she is a work of art in and of herself. Her performances are something else. So I imagine that will be great.
Let's hope she turns up just out the blue.
Maybe.
We have friends on what was Twitter, so I'm going to take that as a sign.
Well, we've asked. I'm sure that will happen.
I'm going to take that as a sign. She's going to come to Glasgow just on account of that. And Desire, the Carol Craig story, of course, Detroit black music, visionary, absolutely brilliant. But I want to ask you, Chris, a little bit more about Ebony and Ivory, because I think there's a musical element to this as well. This is sounding wild, and the man's got previous, right?
Yeah, Jim Hosking he did The Greasy Strangler in 2017, 2018. Which is bonkers. That's how I'm describing it. And he did An Evening with Beverly Loughlin, which had like Aubrey Plaza in it, and was maybe it felt like he was like, okay, I'll do something a wee bit more mainstream, but it was still very weird. But this one is basically set in a little cottage in Scotland, and it kind of lampoons like Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
hence the
that's
title.
kind of what they're doing, and it's about, you know, two singers who meet up and decide they're gonna come up with the next big pop hit, but it's in Jim's very peculiar style, where like one of them is always, you know, kind of lamponing McCartney, and that he's always trying to force feed the other one vegetarian nuggets and stuff like that. And they've got like a nugget slide that they put the nuggets down and they catch it in their mouths and stuff, and then just very, very odd. And the way that they talk, you know, to each other, the dialogue is very, very unsettling almost, the way they talk to each other. So it is a Marmite film. It is one of those films that somebody might come out and be like, never listen to Chris Kumar again. That was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. But that is the beauty of the film festival.
And you got to take a punt on things. This is very, very much part of its identity, isn't it?
But,
that's going to certainly be mine. I can tell you right now, right?
It's
That's
very
like,
strange,
although I feel like I'm already sold
yeah.
on it. I kind of want to go into something completely cold, but then I've immersed myself in the press release.
I mean,
so
that's just the main headlines.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more to that film, but it's one of those ones you got to just buy a ticket and take the ride. That's kind of the vibe with it, yeah.
But also it's the fact that you can do that, or you can kind of go a bit deeper with one particular artist, visionary, whatever. My Zetterling, for example, and I'm really looking forward to, again, Scrubbers, right? So, but how does that operate within the kind of bigger body of work?
It's I think it was one of the early films that she was in, Kathy, and gosh, it's a really... It's of its time, you know, and I think that's one of the reasons we like to show films and give people context.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people say, well, the language isn't the language we use now. And I was like, well, of course not, because it was made in a different time. And I think that you have to be able to understand film history, the history of the film being made in its time, to make sure that you're not judging it too harshly by modern standards. So Scrubbers is great, but it's very 80s. Oh, like it's so 80s.
The other, like a Kathy Burke 80s as well, I'm just like there. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's quite harsh, and it's, you know, it's about the reality, and these are not nice people. I mean, they are in Borstal for a reason, but also it does try and examine their lives about how they get there. So essentially it has a sort of, you know, a sociological element, if you like, to it, that quite early on that she did. But I mean, she's a really interesting person, Maya Zetterling, you know, actress, you know, she starred in great stuff, but then she had quite a hankering for directing. And we've featured a number of women over the years that we really shine a light on that, because, you know, the Ida Lupino we've done, and we've done lots of things where we look at women and their underserved careers in the sense of how they're looked at in the canon.
Quite, yeah.
So I think this is part of that experiment, if you like, and it's great to see it in the big screen, and it's part of a bigger season that the BFI are going to be running in May. So our thanks do go to them for trusting us to be the launch pad.
Quite. And also, I just can't get enough. Once I start going down one of these avenues, you know, it's like, that's brilliant, I'll see all these on the screen here, and then I will be wanting more, you know. And it's like, we love that idea that we can then take this further. Okay, you need to get your lunch, so I'm going to do a couple of quick fire things, and then you can finally maybe get a sandwich, Allison Gardner. No wonder you're hanging your boots up. You never got any lunches for 30 years, that's why. Okay, so you can, whoever can answer this, it doesn't matter. I want to hear a little bit more about Scottish folk horror harvest, which, by the way, in another world, John Maclean would do a great one of those.
Yeah, probably would.
Yeah,
Harvest has done the sort of festival circuit, and Come and Tell Us, that's Mubi who are releasing that. Feels like a very small film. It's very Scottish in the sense of where it's filmed and how it feels, but I think it's one of those ones that maybe people will go and see and they won't necessarily see where it's going.
Okay.
And they'll also think they might have preconceived notions about what it actually is, but when you finally see it, you realise that it's maybe doing something different to completely what you are. And that's quite a riddle, what I've just said.
And it's a Greek director, a Greek woman director.
Yeah.
But has that sort of folkloric vibe to it, but also peasants versus rich people. It just goes in the direction, as Chris says, that you don't expect.
Yeah.
So it's one you should watch.
Fantastic. Right. Okay, that's one I definitely will take a punt on as well. I'm going to be here for the entire duration. Tilda Swinton in post-apocalyptic musical satire, The End. I mean,
George Mackay can really sing. He's really good. He's really good at it.
Wow. Okay.
Michael Shannon plays his dad. Tim McKennery, who plays Darling in Blackadder, he's in it. He can also sing. And I'm very envious of people because I can't carry a tune in a bucket at all. I'm terrible. I can't sing at all. But it's a very odd musical. It's one of those musicals that where people sing to tell the story. So it's a lot of things like, we're in the bunker. I'm not going to sing because that's just terrible. But do you know what I mean? But and the set pieces are great. And the director is, it's a very odd subject for him because he did The Act of Killing. So he's a very particular type of director, and it's one you should invest your time in.
Wow, okay. For the singing alone, by the way, I'm into that. Okay, so, and the final question is very, very simple. Oh, we should say The Craft and Muriel's Wedding are at Cottiers, as well as all the incredible films at GFT, which leads me to this. And you're very welcome as well. But given that this has got to be a party season for Allison Gardner as well, are we going dancing to the Grand Old Opry, and are we going to dance on the bar when we're watching
Can I just
Coyote
say, sorry,
Ugly?
I mean, you say that, but actually... that we both were very big on Let's Do Coyote Ugly. You might think I wasn't, but no.
And other people in the office were like, and I was like, it's a great movie.
Are the three of us going, and are we wearing our cowboy boots?
Yes.
I guess so. I wasn't, because I'm not turning my nose up at that. It's funny, my partner Joanne was like, she loves Coyote Ugly, and that's how I first saw it. And then ever since I saw it, I was like, this would make a good special event or something at some point. And we bandied about before, and we finally pulled the trigger on it this year. And I think the Granite Noir is like the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bad movie, but I say that in the nicest way because it's also very enjoyable in what it does.
It's a badass movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So
and I think it'll be a really great event. The only thing I would say in terms of the pop-ups is I'm not sure we could ever top The Thing, where we did it on an indoor ski slope, and my introduction was preceded by a trained husky dog running in front of me. I feel as if that was my finest festival moment, but let's see if we can make the dancing can exceed that.
Yeah, I think it can peak it, and you get like pies there as well, and your beers and everything, right? So there's even going to be sensible snacks. My goodness, right? Thank you so much. And Alison, this is just amazing. And once you've been dancing, then we'll come back and we'll chat again. And huge congratulations, all of these years. No lunches for 30 and that. I'm going to buy you a sandwich now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Really appreciate it.
Outgoing Glasgow Film Festival director Allison Gardner there, along with programme coordinator Chris Kumar, chatting about just some of the amazing films on this year's vast festival bill. It runs from February the 26th to March the 9th. You can find loads more information online, or just turn up at the GFT. Take a punt on something. Let's all go. And if you're out and about, just another quick reminder that A Kick Up the Arts is live from Glasgow's Glad Cafe on Saturday afternoon. That's March the 1st. The glorious poet and writer Michael Peterson will be chatting about his life and work and discussing a favourite Scottish album, book and film. We'll have live music from the fab Siobhan Wilson and Ravelo. I'll play some records. There'll be drinks. We'll have food. It kicks off at 2:30. You can be home in time for the Brookside Omnibus. It'll be great fun. It would be lovely to see you. And yeah, over in Edinburgh, I'm chatting with the incendiary David Keenan about his new collection of music writing, Volcanic Tongue. That's at the Portobello Bookshop on March the 27th. All right, I'm away to get the popcorn in, to make a beeline for the GFT, and maybe see you there in the coming weeks. Thanks as ever for listening. Bye for now.